Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Cult Film Review. I am your host, Cody Everett, and this week things are going to get a little sweaty, slimy, and sticky because we're talking about Society from 1989. It's really pretty gross. So let's just start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, guys, so we're here to talk about Society from 1989. But before we do that, we got the same old crew here. We got Kyle, Chris, and Mike. We're talking about Society from 1989.
Is that one person?
Chris and Mike.
Chris and Mike.
Chris and Mike. There's only three of us in there.
This is Chris's pick, by the way, Kyle. I don't know if you know.
You know what? I did know because he told me to watch it.
I told all of you, I guess, to watch it.
Yeah. Dead giveaway.
Where'd this come from?
Okay. I remember seeing this movie box cover in the horror aisles of the video store. But I never really paid that much attention to it. And then as I started digging into like odd films or offbeat films, weird horror shit, this one always popped up, and it always was hailed as like to have this really bizarre scene in it, but I never really knew anything about it. So yeah, I was kind of going through a list of movies that I wanted to do, and I was like, let's do this because I haven't seen it yet, and I don't think anybody here had seen it, so I thought it was perfect.
Mike, have you seen it?
I had never seen it. I'd never even heard of this film.
Kyle?
No, I've never seen it. The only thing I know about this film is I saw the box at Zia once.
Okay, because
that was it.
And you were like, oh my God, it's Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
And
No,
it
like-
wasn't.
I had never heard.
Which is why I didn't buy it.
I had never heard of this film before, at all. Like, so right away I questioned if it was a cult film right away.
I like how that's the gauge of
That's
you,
the
whether or
gauge.
not it's a cult film is whether you heard of it.
Well, yeah. You know, because
I get it, though. I get it. You're kind of like, well, it's not. It can't be
like
that
it's
big.
not,
if
like
it-
a lot of the movies I've heard are like that we've done that I've never seen before. I've heard rumblings of at least. I have never
You
even
never heard rumblings of
Never.
Pieces? I never heard rumblings of that at all.
No, I've never heard of that either until someone. But so this is in the same category as that. Like,
Yeah.
and like we've gotten so far into the show, like we're at the 61 episodes at the time of this recording, that I thought like it's true.
yeah, no, that's great. I'm just saying, good, like the math.
Yeah.
You were spot on with that math.
No,
He was prepared.
I didn't know.
I was
good
prepared.
math.
I had thought I had seen it all, and then we watched Society, and I realized I'm learning so much.
we
You're
got-
scratching the surface right here.
We've got so much further to go in film. I feel like we're going to see more Societies type films.
Yeah,
going,
I want to
going
start digging
forward.
these kind of movies out.
So if you don't know what Society is about, which probably most of you don't, because no one's heard of it, at least in this group, but it's hugely popular. Everybody knows of it. Probably. Basically, what it is it's a kid who gets the feeling that he was adopted.
Yeah,
And
he has a mental breakdown, I guess.
Yeah, he has a mental breakdown, and he's seeing help, and his family's trying to help him. And then he comes across some disturbing news, and then I don't know how
Disturbing things
things
happen.
happen. Yeah.
He's part of an upper class family, and he doesn't feel like he fits in at all amongst any of them.
And also, he is constantly, being questioned whether or not he's paranoid about things, and like as these odd things happen, he doesn't know if it's in his head or if it's actually happening. And it appears throughout the film that he's sort of being set up. Honestly, like, did you? I got that.
Oh
vibe.
yeah, no, they dude.
Yeah.
There's okay. So there's nothing subtle ever in this film.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one. Like they bash you over the head with like this is a mystery. Like what is going on?
Right,
like they
right.
hit you with that over the head.
I liked
everything
that.
though in the movie though.
I
they
did like
do.
that.
They do that with. See, that's where I think like for me personally, like I started this movie and was like watching it and I was like, fuck you. This movie sucks. By the end of it, I was like, what did I just see? And does it suck?
yeah, it's got one of those endings that
changes the whole.
Yeah, it can make up for the whole film because
Makes
then
up
you're
for the
just
whole
like
film.
you're like, okay, well, I just saw something fucking crazy, and I don't know how I should take it.
Yeah, I feel like I had the opposite effect. I feel like as I was watching the movie, I was intrigued by it, and then it got so fucking deliberate. Like, that was my problem with the whole film was as I was watching it, I found myself forgiving moments and then keep forgiving them, and then the symbolism became so self-aware that I was just like, this seems pretentious at this point.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with the front half to go opposite of what you're saying is like all the stuff with like, you know, the suspense, the mystery. Oh, is it all in his head? Is it really happening? Like, I felt like that shit was so heavy-handed. Like, and there was so many parts where I was just like rolling my eyes, like, Jesus Christ,
super.
dude, it's like it's real. Like, quit trying to convince me that it's a mystery. I figured it out.
Dr. Cleveland, yeah, you can't trust that motherfucker. Why? Because he keeps on saying, "Trust me, trust me."
Well, it's not like
trust
that.
me.
And I agree with both that, but my other problem with it, especially like specifically like the dialogue, like what is his name, Professor what?
Dr. Cleveland.
Dr. Cleveland. How many times did he have to like be like you're going to be a great member of society? Like I felt like he needed to like look at the camera, wink, and go society.
No, it's true. It's
like there
true.
was no subtlety to it. I get it. You were making a comment on classism in America,
Right.
and like society is obviously not. It's not the royal we. You know, we get it. Like it was so obvious that he did it, and it just felt like he was hitting me over the head. It's the best way I can describe it is like it's like in The Shining. The whole time this kid's like red rum, and at the end you're like, oh, it's murder backwards. It'd be different if the kid was just like, hello, father, you don't like the man in the mirror, do you? Red rum. Like, or like, things aren't always what they seem. Sometimes the opposite. Red rum. Like, that's how it felt the whole time. It was so like,
good.
like, get this. I can't even talk
Yeah,
about
but
it anymore.
hold on.
Angry.
I hear me out on this though.
I'm hearing you.
I mean, going into the film,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was willing to accept that they were going to be heavy-handed about it. Like, I didn't think that it was ever that big of a mystery. Like,
No,
I think you
it's
always
not.
knew. What
No.
the mystery of it is the fucking treat you get at the end of the film. I mean, honestly, it's like kind of a like, oh, like, you know, like we're going to spoon feed you everything that you need to know to take you on this
Yeah, but
journey.
I also-
And then what the fuck did I just walk into?
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is like for the first half at least, like I didn't care about a single thing. Like I was watching this, like I'm like, oh my god, is this trying to compete with? Like at one point, I thought, is this trying to compete with Troll 2 as far as like as bad of a film?
Oh,
The acting's that bad. Like, come on, we're outside playing basketball. Like the dialogue.
I wouldn't
is
go quite that far.
Yeah,
because
it was that bad.
there were some performances that I thought were convincingly disturbing.
Who's?
Like, well, there's like that one scene when he walks in and it's the daughter and the parents, and it's just like, okay, this is really uncomfortable.
I think that
I didn't feel
the
like
dad
I didn't
giving the
feel like
massage?
giving the massage. Like I didn't feel like that was this is like so cheesy. Like I just thought like, oh, this is really uncomfortable to look
Well,
at.
that was
The parents were good, I thought.
Yeah,
Was
parents
it
were-
really-
I actually liked his friend, believe it or not.
Yeah, me too.
I thought his friend like did a pretty good job acting.
See,
well.
that's
Milo?
but that character, but Milo's character is.
Yeah.
Doesn't really come into to importance until like a third of the way through the film.
You know what I thought? I literally thought that Bill was gonna die and that Milo was gonna become the main character. I thought they were gonna do this crazy
I thought that too.
switcheroo.
I was there
And
too.
then I was gonna be like, if they do this right now, I'm gonna have so much respect for this film because I did not see it. If they completely changed the main character to like the very end, which really makes no fucking sense.
Right.
But the fact that somebody would have the balls to do something like that, I thought it was going to go that direction. And then he shows up, and he's not only is he not dead, but I guess he's delved into complete insanity at this point.
Who's that?
Blanchard?
Yes.
Yeah, Blanchard.
Uh-huh.
Who's Blanchard?
Blanchard is the kid who tries to tell Billy that what's
no,
going
Billy
on with
I'm
his
talking
family.
about, not Blanchard.
Oh, okay.
Billy I'm talking about.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, you mean
like,
when
when
he
he gets
get-
into the truck, he's like,
Oh,
hey,
oh,
hey,
yeah.
we're going to have fun time. And he just like drives
Oh,
off.
right. I know. That
He
was,
has
that
like
was-
a complete
whoa.
and total breakdown at that
Yeah.
point. He's
that's
he
all I could
loses
chalk
it
it up to because I was like,
That's
why
all
would
I
he
could-
go home? Why
Yeah.
would he go home?
No, that's all I could chalk it up to too. I was like, what this like because and it's not a very clear transition to that. You're just like you're like, why does that? At first, I was like, why did his acting style just change like drastically? It made no sense to me whatsoever. I was just like,
Yeah,
why is
like
he
the
playing
only
this
thing
this way?
you're given is like he thinks he hears people like behind a curtain, like.
But he also remembers that he was drugged and like put in the hospital like by
He
his.
does?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
He has like these little like. He's like dreaming it before he wakes up and breaks out of there.
Is this movie a cult film? Let me ask this question: is it a cult film just because of the ending?
Yes,
I think it could be. Yeah.
I think that ending has to
Yes.
have a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Does it really
'cause
have to?
it's-
Does it really have to do with the message of society, or is it just the special effects of the ending?
I'm gonna.
I'm gonna-
Okay, go
no,
on. You guys
no,
go
I
first.
don't-
I want to say it is the ending, but the message of society was, I thought was just something like a nice little extra bit that they tried to feed into it because it's nice when there's some kind of a message to these kind of like. But I don't even want to call it a splatter gore film because it's not really that gory.
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
disturbing and really uncomfortable. But I like the fact that they were trying to say a message. They were really. I feel like they were very heavy-handed with it. But I think the thing
yeah.
that makes it a cult film is just that last like 20 minutes.
yeah.
To the point of the rich have always sucked off the dirty poor.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
that's literally spelling out what the message of this film is.
I basically eye rolled.
I mean, I
when-
kind of
when
did
that-
too.
that was
I
kinda
was just
like,
kind of like,
come on.
yeah, no, there was some dialogue in there that was just sort of like, you don't need to, we get it.
Here's the thing, though. This is what. Okay, I don't want to make it sound like I'm completely bashing this movie, though, too, because yes, all this deliberate stuff that was in there, like I feel like if they could have gotten rid of it, like
Or at least settled it.
it settled it. Yeah, made it a little bit more subtle. Like it would have been a great. Like then I would have been like, oh, what an
Really?
interesting film about classism in America.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
It didn't
And
take itself seriously
It just
enough.
was so.
maybe.
It just no. It
I
was
don't
just
know.
because they made everything so self-conscious. It sounded very
I
pretentious.
but see, no, I also kind of agree with you because I think the script itself is pretty weak. It's pretty weak.
I don't know, the
it can't- it
pacing
can't
feels
be-
right. I
it
mean,
can't, I can't accept that it's completely weak because it takes some level of like conscious thought to think about how you're going
Well-
to fit in these things about how the upper class is
Yeah, but-
destroying the lower class. The dialogue is probably a weak point, but I also kind of feel like that's a little bit on some of the actors. I don't think all the actors in this movie were
No,
quite
they're
on
not
point.
great,
There
but-
were a couple that I did like, but there's other ones where it's just like, oh, this is just they're just being big.
But I mean,
they're just being big actors.
when they're not beating you over the head with the message, what is really going on?
See, that's the thing.
Well, when they're not beating you over the head,
hallucinations,
yeah, when they're not beating you over the
paranoia.
head with the message, it goes right back
No,
into
it's
a
more-
Rosemary's Baby type of thing, where it's this paranoia that's happening.
I didn't get the sense of that paranoia from him. I got that he knew something. Like I kind of got that he knew something was going on the whole time, but he didn't trust himself in it. And I didn't really get paranoia. I got a scene between him and his girlfriend at the beach, getting picked on by kids, not getting invited to a party. I didn't see paranoia in that.
I saw the paranoia.
Yeah.
I definitely did.
Yeah, when he showed up at the party, I mean, he immediately started fighting, basically, because he thinks people are conspiring against him. So
but they were
that's-
conspiring.
yeah.
exactly, but
But also later in the film.
if everybody around you is telling you you're nuts, like, and you're like,
but that's also later in the film when the action starts.
yeah, I don't
rolling.
get the
stuff,
beach scene, whatever about
the stuff before it, like even the basketball scene's another example of like this and the weird
basketball scene?
Yeah, where they're playing
in the
basketball.
beginning.
Yeah,
How is
that's
it-
just an intro
yeah, that's
scene.
not
That's
even-
not
that's
even
not- that's-
important.
and I hate that. I hated that scene. The timing. No,
That literally has nothing to do with the movie.
but that's what I'm saying. There's a lot. There's
But
a
it's
lot of
the-
filler. There's a lot of
It's
filler.
the
when they're not-
opening shot, I
when-
think.
No, it sets up a, actually.
no,
no,
it's
it
not
does,
the
It
opening
does actually
shot,
set up
but-
a big. It actually sets up a huge story part.
it's a huge
the-
plot point with the
with the
guy.
boyfriend.
Blanchard being.
Blanchard. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in her room setting up
Here's my question to the two of you, Kyle and Chris.
spying on her.
Yo.
Did you at any point in time think that this film was going to be like, oh, he was crazy the whole time, none of this is real?
No.
Or did you always know?
I
He's
think-
just like, there's definitely something going on.
Well, I think the title and the fact that they keep saying the society in the movie already gives it away.
Right,
You
okay.
know what I mean?
I feel like there's two different types of films. Like, so you got They Live, which I felt like this film kind of felt like a little bit. Like this idea that there's this secret
Race.
group of people
Yeah.
that have always been in the backdrop and they kind of control everything and stuff like that. But
Right.
They Live, at no point in time do you really think that Roddy Piper might be just fucking crazy and that he's killing all these people.
Right.
Right? But then you got a movie like House,
Yeah.
which I always felt, even when I watched that film, it's like he could be insane this whole time. Like he can totally be insane, and this could all be in his head because they have this whole backdrop of PTSD and what he saw in the Vietnam War. Like this film is so it's more like They Live, except they didn't do it as well.
I think
they try to get in the middle, but they're not in the middle. They're really far right on it.
They tried to have that backdrop of House with the PTSD by establishing like the fact that he's seeing a psychiatrist. That's like one of the first things you learn about this character first and foremost. So I feel like they were banking on you thinking, oh well, he's seeing a psychiatrist or whatever. There's probably something obviously wrong with him, and then they start feeding you things where it seems like he's being in a weird world. Because like there's the part where he's eating the fucking apple, and it's got worms, and he looks again, and it's gone.
But you know what? I'll tell you what it is. What's missing? This is where I feel there was nothing. If they had put something that had been highly at stake, where you believed it for a second that maybe this is all in his head, like in House, he kills his ex-wife, right, or his
girlfriend, I think?
His girlfriend or something like somebody. I remember someone dies and they're human after he kills him. She's a monster, and then he kills her, and then it's human. And the whole time he's like, "Oh, I gotta get rid of this fucking body because I think I might be insane." Nothing like that happens in this film, other than what you're talking about, like him looking at an apple. If he had maybe accidentally, like he killed his mother or something like that, and then all of a sudden he's just, "Oh my god, I'm gonna kill my mother." Maybe this is all in my head. He doesn't ever believe that. That's the problem. He never actually believes that he's crazy.
I think they had a moment in the movie, and maybe it wasn't successful for you where that came across. It was for me, and that was the shower scene with his sister's body twisted backwards.
Yeah. But that's
the one. That's the one that gives you like where you question, like, well, is he crazy because he saw her back? You don't know yet.
But like I said, there's nothing at stake in it. It's not like a death where you definitely see this body and
his sanity, I guess, would be at stake. Like
no. Well, but there's not enough of that. He saw it through like a foggy, like translucent glass thing.
But it was still pretty clear what he was seeing, what he thought he was seeing.
Yeah, definitely. A woman twisted around.
And I mean, honestly, so here's the one issue with the thing I brought up though was with the apple. Like all the other stuff that he thinks he's seeing, but he doesn't know if he's seeing, are things that are actually happening. Like she's actually twisted around in the shower.
Yeah.
But with that apple, like. That was totally in his head. There's no way that they could have planted an apple, had him bite it, and then changed it before he looked back.
Okay, but now we're talking about the possibility of the rules not applying correctly to this world. Because
that's what I'm pointing out as something I had a problem with.
Yeah,
and that was something I had a problem with. That was the only thing was like that one instance cannot actually be explained.
It can't be.
Then
it's not like Lost Boys where you get it. Okay, the vampires can control your visions too, or something like that. Unless these creatures could.
I was always on
never
his,
said it.
Yeah,
I was always on his side though. Like I was with him as a character, so I knew what I was seeing on screen.
Who's that?
Billy
Warlock.
Yeah.
Can I be honest with you? I could give 2 turds.
Is he from Baywatch?
He is. Yes.
Is he okay?
Yeah.
I could give 2 turds about Billy Warlock.
Okay, why?
In this movie, I never connected. I never felt sympathy. I don't know if it was just because he wasn't like, I thought he was one of the worst people in this movie, and that's maybe why I couldn't connect with him, because he was the same
I mean that I can understand that with the actor. What about from the character standpoint? I guess why can't you connect with the character?
Because I didn't find anything like
I gotcha. There wasn't a scene that really kind of showed like he goes into high school and he wasn't popular. Everyone was acting like an outcast. He was dating like the head cheerleader. Like
girls were showing their vajayjays to him. His parents were rich. Life seemed pretty good, which it was supposed to. You know what I mean? But even the crazy stuff was. It got to, things were so unbelievable right away. It takes you out of the movie, and you're just like, okay, what? Like at that point, I'm just interested in what are you going to show me?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah.
I threw out character because everything visually you're showing me is more interesting than the characters that you put on screen with the script. That's why I was saying I think the script is actually pretty damn weak when they're not beating you over the head.
I do love the character of Blanchard. I think I connected with him more than any other character.
I like the actor that played him.
Yeah. I felt like he embodied more of the paranoia and fear than Billy did.
Well, I think and that's the thing. He had something. Well, he had proof, but even before that, he has something more at stake than I feel Billy does. Billy just feels awkward. like
Yeah.
for no real reason. Like he just has this irking feeling in his heart that he doesn't
He
belong.
lives with a family that obviously could give a shit
Yeah,
about.
That's
I mean-
different than your girlfriend dumping you out of the fucking blue for no goddamn reason, and all of a sudden, like
You think your girlfriend dumping you out of the blue is more painful than your family that you live with that's supposed to love you doesn't give a shit about you?
But there's an action that prescribes that creates that emotion. There's a catalyst to that. What catalyst is there to Billy other than the first shot of the scene is him like cuddled up in a corner with a knife? Like we don't know why he feels this way. He doesn't
It's
really
true.
go into really. There's no. There's like what going back to what Cody said. I think where there's the disconnect is there's no real action other than he doesn't get invited
Yeah.
to what's his name's house. Was it John?
Yeah, I think they tried to fill all that in with exposition while talking to a psychiatrist because he's like explaining all these things like, well, why don't you feel comfortable around your family? And he like lays out this, and
Yeah.
this. Like they don't feel like my family. They don't feel like they give a shit. They don't want me involved. Like, and I feel disconnected and distant from them. I don't feel like I'm part of them.
Not to
Yeah,
mention
we're
the
so
incest,
weak.
the incest angle, like because he walks in, he makes that joke. Oh, I think my family's incest. Yeah, everything's great.
which
And
comes
then-
out of nowhere.
But no, it sets up because
well,
what
yeah.
what he hears, what he discovers, because the opening scene is him walking around the house hearing giggles and laughter and weird fucking sounds and like, you know what I mean? So we're thrown into his paranoia right away, which
Yeah, but-
for me, I can accept that. I'm like, I'm already in it. Okay, how long has he been going to this therapist? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
As
Like,
soon as for me, like as soon as the incest thing hit, I instantly knew the message behind it. So I was like, okay, I already like it didn't build for me at all. I was just like, okay. Oh, only the wealthy stay with the wealthy. Okay, so they're incestual to their own kind. Got it.
Good breeding.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they
Like like it's.
I know. It was a quote. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. Like at no time, like and yeah, he's stale, dude. The guy plays the character until that freak out moment after he's dead. He's literally like the same tone the whole movie.
didn't bother me all that much, honestly. Like,
Well, because everything else is equally as bad just in the beginning of the film. I feel like because the mother and the father are very the way they're played, and I think it's done on purpose. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this was a kid like a character choice that they didn't make that wasn't guided, I guess, for them. Are they very what's the like Stepford wives like kind of
robotic?
Yeah,
Cold.
Yeah, cold's a good way.
yeah, like, yeah, like they have that like very over, but it's very over the top. Instantly, you know,
Yeah, like
something's
these
up with the
can't be-
parents.
these can't be
They're
real
not
people.
normal. Instantly,
They
it's
act
got
like
Goosebumps. It's
aliens.
got like it's got the story arc of Goosebumps.
I guess maybe you were as an audience member. This is how I took it. Was like, yeah, I'm shown these very cold audiences, and I get where you're coming from on that. But like for me, I was maybe I was just supposed to accept the fact that like, oh well, maybe this is just how like the upper class, the society is. Like they're not very warm to each other.
Yeah,
It's more of a
it's more scene like for me it's like the scene where he walks into the bedroom and he's giving the massage to the daughter.
well, that's
while
just
the
really
wife-
fucked up. Scene
and you're
right
looking there and you're watching it and they're playing it off like what's wrong with what we're doing
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And you know in your mind that there's something fucking like,
right. Well,
Well,
the
yeah,
mom's all
exactly.
sprawled
Even
out
when-
on the
no,
bed. And
even
shit,
when
like,
when you meet them right from the beginning, what's the boyfriend's name?
the boyfriend,
The boyfriend that they catch.
Blanchard.
Blanchard, yeah.
So Blanchard's being pulled down the stairs, and the parents walk in, and they're like, "Blanchard, what are you doing here? Normal people talk like this.
and take long pauses.
See how normal we are?
Mm-hmm.
We're super normal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it was.
I think that-
jigs up.
I think I think I've seen I've seen that though in a lot of films in the 80s when they're
Oh, no, it's-
portraying they're
it's-
portraying the upper class the
it's
rich people.
still-
They're very oh.
No, I didn't know. It was
Hello.
not. It was not number one. It was not. Oh, it was. It was.
No, I know what you're
alien.
saying. It's
it was
deadpan.
fucking
Everything
alien.
was deadpan. I know. I
It came
know
across
exactly what
as
you're
like
saying.
it came
but
across as like we are
I'm saying
we are
that
from
I
a different
I'm saying
planet.
that's a common. I feel like that was a common occurrence in the 80s to how you portray rich people. That they
I
were
don't
going
know.
by
Yeah,
the
no, they
non-
went on- they-
no,
they-
it was
no,
not
they-
to portray rich people. It
Yes.
was to portray that we're different. We're different in some way more than just.
Yeah, they took it
appearance.
slightly further so that you knew there was more to it. Like, I mean, you're right. That
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
a stereotypical
Yeah.
character.
They didn't take it slightly further. They jumped way over the.
Yeah, it
line.
wasn't,
Whatever.
It wasn't,
I have-
it wasn't
I've
like,
seen that
hey, the people on
same-
Dallas are so different than us.
slapped you in the
It was-
face.
I've seen that same portrayal done in other films too, like almost identical to that.
Yeah, but they're like cone heads. Like no, I'm being serious.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
that far of like it's that far. It's like they're just one step away.
I didn't take it as that.
I
I didn't
didn't-
think it was that far.
It wasn't like
honestly,
they
but
gave-
You didn't think
took
it was that
5-second
cheesy?
pauses
It was that cheesy. It was that over the top.
I don't think they were taking that.
I don't think that-
long of
I thought-
pauses, but
I like you instant. No, you're wrong. Let's take a break,
Oh,
and when we
okay.
come back,
Okay.
we'll talk about some of the technical aspects of it. Maybe the special effects, maybe some lighting, maybe some cinematography.
yeah.
Yeah, when we come back.
Jim? Jenny? Goodbye, David.
All right, guys, we're back and we're talking about Society from 1989. I want to talk about some of the technical stuff, maybe a little bit of the direction from the director.
Okay.
Not my favorite choices he made.
What parts didn't you like?
Like I said, the whole beginning half, man, I feel like he just made a lot of bad choices as far as like how he let his characters be portrayed. I think they could have done it in a more of a realistic fashion, and this movie would be a lot more prevalent than having honestly the special effects and the artistry of that really come into the aid of the film towards the end. Don't get me wrong, the movie and the script does get better towards the end too, because the message is out there in the open and then they can explain and play with it. But I think the first half, it's just like it's just poor direction.
I think that's funny because that's kind of funny
Choices.
to me because all the characters in this movie are very big, very fantastical, very overacted, portrayed huge, and like, I mean, we've seen this exact characterization in many of Trauma films, in other films like Dead Alive, which I got a strong vibe on that for this movie. I think it's interesting that you didn't like it.
This movie doesn't play off the comedy until like the towards the end. It honestly doesn't start playing on honestly.
So
Like,
he,
that's the
so
thing-
the problem
that's the thing is,
he
like-
had was he couldn't find the tone.
That's no,
That's
not
what you're
at all.
saying?
Yeah, not at all. Because that's the thing. Like every time everyone brings up a trauma film and stuff like that, you got to realize that those are set in this. Automatically, you know you're getting into the whatever gore you're seeing is going to be funny, or whatever situation you're going to see is supposed to be taken as comedy because this is what we do. We've been doing it for this many years. If you don't expect that by now, you're watching the wrong types of movies. This took it. I think they wanted to take a very serious approach at their subject matter, and I think he failed miserably at that, and was again saved visually. I don't think it was done.
You don't think it was done on purpose? You think it was
No,
he just missed the mark by like
No, I
not
think
toning it down enough.
I think
not toning it down to the point where it was like, oh, this is actually scary and believable. Like, I think the characters were big, but I don't know. Again, going back to that, it's like missed opportunity or intentional. Like, I don't know.
I think most of this movie is all intentional, and I think that's kind of the problem.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, now we have to address this now, right? Okay, so I definitely agree with you that the film goes from being like what seems to be a strict kind of like psychological horror film, and then right at the end goes tongue in cheek completely.
Completely.
Like a guy turns into a fucking butt. Like what?
Yeah.
What happens here? Like, and then things just kind of take this really humorous, almost farcical turn. So, what if the director was doing it purposefully? What was he trying to say with that? I can't.
I got the comedy right away out of it. Like, I don't think that was
Where in the beginning?
Yeah, totally,
Where?
dude. Like,
Where?
I mean, where I don't know. As the characters went along, like honestly,
As they went along, which would be later in the movie because they didn't start going along in
no,
the front.
The overall vibe and tone, I feel like opening it wasn't psychological. There was nothing scary about it. There was nothing. They weren't trying to take you into like, oh my god.
Yes, they were.
No, I think that was like how the story plays out, but I don't really think that they were trying to get so far inside the audience's head. I think that
if that's how the story plays out, wouldn't that be where they're going? I'm just asking the
No.
question.
now we're talking in circles. I don't even know.
No.
Like I agree with you. That's why I asked earlier in the show whether or not you believed at any point in time that maybe Billy was crazy. And I think the consensus of this entire group is no one ever actually thinks that he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's where like I said, it's the difference between this and like House, where the whole time you're like, is this guy crazy or is this actually happening to him?
Right. I don't know.
So what is the direction then? But I do disagree in the fact that you thought that this film was humorous the whole
It
time.
felt
because
light.
I didn't really...
It felt light, like even in the beginning. It didn't ever feel like super heavy or like dramatic.
But
to
see,
me.
I agree with you. No, I agree with you on that. It did feel light, but I feel like it felt light because it wasn't good, not because it wasn't trying to be.
I mean, there were scenes right at the beginning of humor, like when he's up there trying to do the bait, and he's all like sweating and freaking out, and he can't string any words together. All the chick is like flashing him, like that's kind of a humorous scene. That's based in comedy,
yeah, but
the way
so
he's
much
acting.
different than like a dude turning into an ass and being like, "I am a butthead."
Yeah, but
like,
the argument was there was absolutely zero comedy up until the end. But
I'm saying
it
that
was
far
in there.
less.
it
There's
was
a difference,
far
and there's a
less.
difference between having funny moments to break up the monotony of something and going into complete farce,
Which
like
it
going
actually-
into slapstick almost.
And actually, it was comedic. It did come across comedic, but was it meant to be come across as that, or is it giving you a lot of Cassandra's? Or is it Cassandra, right? Cassandra?
Which one? The
Sandra?
girl that he was having?
Clarissa?
Clarissa. Sorry,
yeah.
Where am I?
Apparently you're in
Sean-
Wayne's World right now.
Well, they all have weird. Like, what was the girlfriend's name? Shauna.
Yeah.
Which I always thought that was a weird name. I don't know.
Shauna.
It's Sean.
very-
but like
Well,
with
you
a
got
girl,
Jenny.
Sean.
Jenny's normal.
Anyways,
The sister.
Anyways, I mean, it kind of displays her character and what you're getting out of her right from the get go. So, is it meant to be funny, or is it meant to explain her character,
I thought it was meant to be
or
funny.
both?
I think Shauna was meant to be kind of funny, and you're supposed to like hate her a little bit. You know what I mean?
She did come off very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, everybody comes off as this big grandiose character, even his best friend, except for him, except for Bill.
now towards the end when he starts going
But
nuts.
yeah, when he goes nuts, when he makes that drastic character change, it
Yeah.
not out of I don't want to say out of nowhere, but it kind of
I mean,
seems out of nowhere.
the only hints that you get of it is the mother that eats hair.
Oh,
She
Yeah.
right off the bat at the beginning. You
What
think
is
it's
that?
Like,
What's not funny about that weird
as,
situation?
as I understood
I
it,
don't know,
this
what's
is how
up
I
with that,
understood
man?
it.
Can you tell me what that is? I don't
as
get
I
that.
as
I
I
never
read
got
it
that.
as
Didn't get
is
it.
that even the society has people that they're like, oh, they're like, how do I describe it? They're like in Game of Thrones, like there's the imp, right? And it's a big.
I don't watch Game of Thrones. So
I know, but people who listen to this show probably have.
Whoa, generalization.
I'm just saying it's.
Whoa,
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a very, very
generalization.
popular show, but in that
You're the
show,
only one in this room that watches it, by
well,
the way.
I mean, that's your guys' fault. He's the only
Here
guy
comes the
in
hate
the
mail.
family. He belongs to a rich and powerful family, but he has what they
like the
view as a
outcast.
deformity.
Yeah.
He's a little person, so immediately they look down on him like, oh, there's the guy we have to deal with. Oh, like it's like, but we
Yeah.
can't shun him completely because he's still kind of one of us. I think that's how they looked at the mother. Was kind of like,
What's the deal with the hair?
well, she was still eating people. She was just eating them in the wrong places, as I gathered it. Because did she not eat the cheerleader and her friend?
Where'd you get what? When did that happen?
With the hair.
They're outside in the thing. They follow Billy to the house, right? And they're about to, like, I guess, crash.
They drive away.
Do they? Why
Yeah, they're
was
like-
their hair spitting? Why was
No,
she spitting her hair?
they went
She spit
like
up a
they went
blonde
like
lock.
they were like, ooh, who's that? I don't know. Let's get out of here.
But she spit out a blonde lock and then gives it to Billy.
Yeah.
As I understood it, she ate their
That's-
hair, or ate them completely. I didn't understand.
That's what I took away
Yeah.
from it, though, too, was that she had eaten somebody.
Because you never see her for the rest of the film. She's gone. That's it. That's the last time you see her.
No, she comes back.
When does she
She's-
comes back?
She
The
comes
cheerleader?
back later at the end. That's when you first are introduced to her character. I feel like is when she spits the hair out.
The cheerleader. No, the cheerleader I'm talking about.
The
Does she
girlfriend.
ever come back
Shauna.
Oh,
after that scene? I don't think she does.
But she's in our hearts.
She's in someone's heart. She's probably in the mother's heart. She probably absorbed her. I don't know. But as I understood it, that she was like kind of like looked down upon. But she was definitely part of the society.
Is it?
'Cause she had the same urges, the same want to like consume parts of people.
I
I didn't
think
understand the makeup or the hair though.
I didn't get it either.
Yeah,
Why they made it? Why they made her look like divine?
Yeah.
that's exactly what I thought you looked.
Well,
like.
I mean, they made it. I mean, if they're gonna make a dude into a butt, like what are
Why
we doing
wouldn't
here?
they?
Like if we're gonna go completely off the map here and make it almost like a slapsticky kind of comedy thing, why not make a big, large woman that
Well, see, that was the surprise, though, is like they wanted to hit you hard, like with that at the end. I don't.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because it does
100%.
come out of left field in all sense. Like the tone's just completely about faces, you know.
Did anyone else get it was weird that like I got like the metaphor was that like it was like maybe like a turkey or like a pig. They're raising it from birth. Like that's what Billy is to them, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
but they like lived with it.
Yeah,
yeah. They raised
Not your mother.
You know what I mean? Like
they
raised
nurtured him in their very own home. And then I'm just like, Jesus Christ!
Right.
Like they're about ready to eat their son, but they could give a shit.
Well,
like,
and that's I didn't. Here's the other thing too. I really didn't understand. Once we get to let's just talk about the end, the shunt.
Yeah. Okay.
what is the shunt?
Okay.
Who
Here's
wants
the
to
thing,
explain it?
because I'm completely confused by this whole thing.
I'll explain it to you.
You'll explain it.
Sure.
Please do.
Okay, the shunt. What is it?
Yeah. What is the shunt?
No, I was going to ask you this question too. Well, no, the shunt is
What the fuck?
What is happening?
no,
right
no, no,
now?
no.
Time warp thing?
Yeah.
The shunt. No, the shunt is actually. I think it's like I'm guessing it's a breeding time.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
That's not what the word shunt means.
No, not what the word shunt means. I'm saying in this movie, what the shunt is like it's when they release the clear liquid thing that makes them all pliable and that they can do this, right? Because this is like a ceremony. This is doesn't happen all the
Here's what I
time.
don't- the guy they
Right.
keep saying this over and over again. What is it like? The heroes of the hunt, and then like, or is it like the men of the hunt, the hero of the shunt?
Yeah.
But as I understand it, they're referring to Johnny as the guy, the heir of all of this, the one that he starts giving political power to, and all this other stuff. Like he seems to be the centerpiece of that. Everybody's kind of like, you're gonna be the guy one day, and
Right.
then you get Billy, and he stands up to this guy finally, and they get into this battle, and they keep repeating that he's the hero of the shunt.
Right.
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 But I looked up the word shunt because
I've got it pulled up.
I had no idea. Right. It's either a verb to pull apart, or it's some object that is doing the pulling, like the hitch on a train, or
That says provide an electrical current with a
Right.
conductor joining 2 points of a circuit, push or pull from the main line to a sliding or from one track to another in reference to train. There's also shunt medical. The shunt is a hole or a small passage which moves or allows movement of fluid from one part of the body to another.
okay.
That's
So
what-
that's how I okay.
That's what I thought that was about with the
The
clear
sucking
liquid.
in, right?
Yeah.
the clear liquid thing, right?
Okay.
Isn't that a thing? Or am I making?
I'm
the clear
thinking
liquid
like
thing
when
up?
their mouths are attached to
You
the
think-
bodies
yeah,
and they're
that's what I took
sucking
it
in
as.
nutrients, they're like shunting.
'Cause I figured
I
they
just
were
thought the clear
sucking
liquid
them,
thing. I just
kind
thought the
of.
clear liquid thing with their skin is just their natural form.
They're just getting hot and sweaty, dude.
I
Maybe.
associated them to like me and Chris are talking about this to like that of like leeches, like, and they have that sliminess to them, or slugs. They have that sliminess to them. And
Yeah,
that,
we're
that
slugs. They was trying to feed people.
Yeah, they kept
so
slugs were a
I
thing.
think they were. I think that's the only reason the slimy stuff was there, was just be like, this is there, and they're them in their natural form. They're slimy, gross, disgusting creatures. The
Well,
rich.
They just,
And yeah, they're all kind of banging at the same time. That's all
Well,
going
that's not-
down
I don't
too.
know. Like, well, is eating to them the same thing as banging? Because I didn't take it as
No,
banging. I
I-
took it as eating.
No,
Only
I
breeding.
think sex and eating are two. I think they're creatures of pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I took it. I didn't see that a sexual encounter necessarily meant you were going to
And
eat
they
that person.
Obviously,
I
No.
think-
they
Yeah,
obviously
very
get
sexual.
they obviously get pleasure from morphing together.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I think they do. I think, like I said, I think they're just creatures of pleasure. They're like vampires. Like they fuck, they eat, they fuck. That's
Because
their
that-
lifestyle.
I mean, that's that death scene of
Wow, you're killing it tonight.
Blanchard.
Blanchard. Thank you. I've seen this movie once, dude.
Yeah.
on,
On the board right behind you.
on YouTube with Spanish subtitles.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Le Blanc. what was
I'm
his
sorry
name?
too. Should have come over and watched it on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Glorious. Blu-ray.
Blanchard.
2K transfer.
The
Thanks,
death.
Arrow
I was
Video.
very confused by the death of him.
Why?
Well, I got that they pull his, but I'm like, I didn't understand. Like, I'm like, what will they just attach themselves to? Like, I'm like, oh, they blend into him.
No,
believe
they're
that they were
No, they
sucking.
can
absorbing
stretch.
him.
They're
They can
sucking.
stretch. That was established where they can stretch and skew and lengthen their bodies.
But I mean, it was like I wasn't like, oh fuck, something terrible's happened until they shoved the fist up his ass. and
Yeah,
his
and it-
head.
That
Like it
was
almost
so
seemed like he
weird.
wasn't even in pain.
it seemed like he
No,
was
he-
in pain.
You think he was?
Yeah, I
It
feel
seemed like
like
he was very conscious to be in pain. Like there was no
Yeah.
shock going on. Maybe it was just bad acting. Maybe it was just that.
But yeah, no, that's the thing is like I never got that he was in pain. And I agree with him actually. Now that I think back on it, I never got that he was in pain. And like I was like, I didn't understand. Like I didn't like. It's like, oh, so everybody attaches to this guy, or they attach to each other, and then does it spread? I didn't understand how it works, but I don't think it matters.
No,
I
you're
don't
not.
think I don't think it matters
I don't
at
think
all.
we need to break down the science
Yeah,
here.
no, it's just the visual effect that comes out of it and what it actually represents is powerful enough, in my opinion, to save the movie and actually, in retrospect, make the first half of the movie being so bad
Yeah, because the thing,
more enjoyable.
the imagery that it creates is that the society basically is always bonding together and helping each other. So one person's sucking, the other person's connected to them, and this stuff is going through. And it's like, yeah, it's they're always protecting their own, and they don't like outsiders. They feed off of outsiders. That was the imagery I got of everybody interconnected into one modulus mold.
Now I have to get to the point that I don't understand of this film at all. Everything else hits me over the head with it. So the battle happens. Billy finally fights this guy.
Yep.
And then he pulls him through his own asshole.
Yes, he does.
And everyone just looks at like, well, that's you found our weakness. And now he's fucking Superman. He walks right out of there.
Nobody stops
No one
him.
stops him. It's just like instant fear. It's like
Because I think it's because they like the message of that was basically like if the little people were to rise up, the rich would be so terrified.
Yeah,
they wouldn't know what to do. That's what the symbolism I got.
Yeah, but they
behind it.
still were outnumbering him.
Yeah,
like,
they could-
50 to 1.
They all
That
just
was the
wrestled
message.
him for like an hour, chasing him around and getting him here. And
I think
there,
that was
and
the
we're gonna
message,
Give
though.
up at this point.
Yeah,
Just one.
I think
one
Cody
was
nailed
enough.
it.
What's that?
Cody nailed it. What he just said.
That's just because one?
Yeah, one was enough to scare. One is enough to scare them.
Like, did they know they could die?
I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I had a
Yes,
real hard time
yes,
with
they,
this.
They definitely know they can die.
Well,
They've been
no,
on this
because the
planet long
judge.
enough.
We don't know how old the judge is.
It just seems weird
just
to
says he's
me
getting too
because
old
it's
for
like
it.
he pulls him out and they're like, he turned him inside out, as if that had never happened. And then they were like, fucking shit. And then I thought it had something to do with the word shunt again. Because
they had
he
no-
literally pulls him through his own asshole. And then, but they're still obviously stronger.
Go watch this movie, everyone listening right now.
Yeah, they still are obviously stronger creatures, right? I gathered that Johnny was stronger than Billy in almost every way.
Yeah.
Faster, quicker, stronger. Punch, like, you know, they could, like 50 of them are still in the room. Like, and this woman just drags them out. Like, we're good. They're all scared of you now.
Yeah,
but he
Well,
only has 2 hands.
I mean, they're
he can only
shocked.
pull 2 assholes.
They're in shock because
They're in
their
shock.
champion just lost.
Yeah, the strongest
Was
of
he the
them.
champion yet?
Yes,
You pointed that out earlier
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he
he
was.
was.
You already made that.
No,
point.
they and I think they
Don't
pretty
go
much
back on it, Mike.
No, I'm
they
not trying
pretty
to go
much make
back
it
on it,
clear.
but surely
Shirley was not in the movie.
No, you're. I know what you're saying because
Squeezes
I
in an
thought I
airplane
had the
joke.
same thought.
Gotta
I
love
was
him.
like, really? So it just took one like dude who was barely in the society, even
Yeah.
got fucked up. Got his head pulled through his ass, and then everybody was just like, "Go ahead, leave, tell the world about us. We're not going to try to stop you." And I'm like, "What the
Exactly.
hell?"
No one's gonna believe you. Number one.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. I mean, that would be a really.
Yeah.
Can you
And the
imagine
final, and the
somebody
final
telling you
line
that?
is just like, looks like we're going to need to find a new guy for the politics thing.
Yeah, for
like,
the internship.
yeah, and then that's it.
Well, because
He says,
they
yeah,
go-
yeah,
they
which
go
is
on.
well, I have an
That's-
open seat
that's
in
that's
Washington.
awesome. That's like that's also I think another message too at the end of it, where it's like, yeah, they might have been scared, but they're instantly that over it because
Yeah.
it's that big of a blip
Yeah,
on
they,
their
they
radar.
waited a little long on that one.
Actually, the thing that I didn't understand or get or like accept was why did he run off with Clarissa? She's one of these things. Like
Because love
because
overcame.
love overcame, dude.
She was the only one helping
she's
him
still
at this
gonna be.
point.
You mean tell me that there's not gonna be a point where she's gonna be like,
Ask me.
I'm kind of hungry.
Ask me about this movie. What it's about.
Young love.
You're damn right.
You know,
I think she proved what she would eat if she got hungry, bro.
Oh,
In this movie, there is definitely probably the best performances I've ever seen of a male climax.
oh my
he
God!
goes- he goes
I
pretty
know,
hard there.
right? That was almost embarrassing.
And it's
to
pretty.
watch.
It's pretty apparent. It's pretty apparent that, at least to me, it was that her lady parts was engulfing his genitalia.
I didn't get that at all. Really, I just thought he was having an orgasm.
Yeah, I just thought he was having a great time.
Yeah.
You really? I
didn't think that he was being
'cause
consumed.
No, he did play it that way, though. I guess you're right. Yeah.
Think
I mean,
about it.
in
As soon as-
hindsight,
as-
yeah,
as
you could
soon
say
as, no,
that.
because as soon as think about it too, as soon as they're done, she's all morphed and twisted. So she was obviously using her abilities.
Well, remember the arm starts coming
Yeah.
over, like the body, and it doesn't make sense that an arm
Yeah.
would be coming. I'm like, it took me a second to realize that I was looking at.
Yeah, but sort of the sister. Like, are you saying that like when they consume people, they have powers? That's when their powers show.
No, I'm saying that
Oh.
that's what
They just don't function like normal human beings.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like she took advantage of her powers, obviously, while having sex with him, and that was pretty apparent
I
to
think-
me in that sex scene.
Here's the thing: if we're gonna look at the consuming of these people as an analogy for the rich feeding off the poor, the moment Clarissa decides that she's gonna leave that group, there's no reason for her to do this anymore. I understand we're looking at this from a physical aspect, but I think it's pretty clear from this director and the way that he showed everything that everything is like an allegory. Like
she always
Well, I don't
seemed like
think-
she was
yeah,
against
it's
it though, a little bit.
Do you
Though.
think that maybe that this has nothing to do with like nutrition or food for these creatures? That it was just pure pleasure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No,
I
no,
definitely could see
because
that.
the idea of classism, the idea that the rich feed off the poor, it's because the rich always need the poor because someone needs to push the carts, somebody needs to do the manual labor, somebody needs to do and the rich and the poor
Somebody
always
needs to-
over like they're always outnumber the rich because there's always some guy at the top that has the means, the money, and hires a bunch of people. And if you're taking advantage of those people, if you're exploiting them in some way, you're making them do work and probably not for fair wages. You know, and as I understood that was what was trying to be said, that there were these rich people at top, they control everything, and the poor people are being sucked apart. They're being feeded upon.
I think what the point Cody was trying to make was that the feeding off of the poor wasn't a physical need for survival for these creatures. Is
For
what
these
he was
creatures.
saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, then in that case, I don't think it is. No, I
You
think
think it's purely pleasure for the joy of the power?
That's
having
why.
power.
No, I think that's
it's for having power.
No, I think that's
less
my.
so much that. I'm trying not to look at this objectively because I feel like the director has not shown himself to be an objective director.
Well, because my question is, why are the creatures, even in her case, why are they so sexual? Because
Right,
like-
exactly.
like,
it's got to be
it's all
mostly for pleasure.
it's got to be their whole life. I feel like is based around
Excess.
It's decadence,
excess
you know.
pleasure.
It's like
excess pleasure. Yes.
Yeah, but it's like saying like why are vampires always viewed as like sexual creatures? Like why are they?
Well, that was because of Hollywood and the
No, but
Dracula movies.
like I'm saying, there's a symbolic nature to creatures sometimes.
Well, no, they like
and I think in this one he was trying to beat you over the head with it.
historically vampires were not attractive creatures until the Dracula movie.
Right,
Basically.
things can progress. Right, but this guy got to create these things from his head. These aren't like this isn't a folklore that he pulled out of his head. Like he got to create.
Yeah.
this.
No. This is yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, if this director has shown that he's trying to use symbolism constantly, then not everything in this film you can see it as like an objective thing. Do you understand?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Fucking who? Sorry.
Yawns.
Yeah,
Who
I know.
yawns?
Cody over here.
He
Who
did like in the
fucking-
microphone.
Like fucking no, he backed up from the microphone like 5 feet to yawn, but still yawns as loud. And,
oh
I
shit.
think on that note, we should probably just rate this
Yeah,
film,
let's
don't you
yeah,
think?
let's just rate it.
We haven't talked about
Oh,
the
yeah.
effects. We haven't.
Oh,
talked
now you're
about-
back in it? Are you back in it now?
This is why people hate your reviews.
I know. That's fine.
I mean, the effects are amazing. I mean, you can't say anything else. It's very weird things. I couldn't describe it to people if I wanted to.
That's the winning thing in this
Picture
film.
Dead Alive. I think most people have
And
seen
a lot
that.
of Vaseline.
A lot of
Yeah.
Vaseline.
Dead Alive with a lot of
creative.
Vaseline.
It's like Slither. It's like Slither before Slither.
I feel like that's what I was going to bring up. Is do you think this film influenced any other films? And Slither was one that I had thought of.
Yeah, I think that final scene where they're all morphed together. I think he definitely pulled that concept and applied it to Slither.
Or it was
Yeah.
maybe just influenced even by the look or the style of it. you
Yeah,
know?
but this. I mean, I think this movie was influenced. You can say by other
probably.
things.
I'm sure.
I think with this film, the interesting thing about the ending of this film that I like is the creativeness of some of the things. Like, yeah, I'm joking around about the guy turning into a butt, but then you have like the daughter and the mother becoming like.
Oh, that's the way. Yeah, her arms
with
Yeah.
the hands for feet, arms for feet.
You know, muscle
or-
arms?
and legs.
Yeah.
There's
Where'd the muscle
that,
arms come from?
the-
I thought there was like another. Like I thought there was another person in there, and then I'm like, it's just the mother.
and then the guy's
why they have
head
muscle
turned into a
arms.
The mother and
fucking
daughter.
hand.
Yeah.
That was crazy. His head turned into a hand.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Like, and he was just like, "Hey there, buddy." Like,
That was crazy.
I'm
dude.
a duck now. I thought he was gonna do a shadow
No,
puppet. That would've been great.
visually, and creatively, the final scene is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's very surreal. It's like really like
Yeah,
creative.
the
I
whole
like
thing,
that.
The whole thing, like downstairs, is shot with harsh red light, so
Mm-hmm.
it just gives it a nightmarish look to
And
it.
it's also gross. It's
yeah,
sickening.
it's very. It's
Like,
everything
when the
looks very.
judge
It's
is
very
on top
wet.
Of this old guy, and he's like, ugh.
Oh, the old dude, the old they picked every old dude they could find with the most unattractive body. They're like, who's really disgusting?
Oh, what about
looking?
that scene where he's like feeling up on like the little
Sister?
16-year-old
Yeah.
or
The
whatever?
sister?
Like,
Yeah,
and
that
it's
one.
so in your face that you're just like, that's
There's
uncomfortable.
definitely makes you uncomfortable. This movie definitely can make you feel uncomfortable.
Oh, no, I think about it.
Felt real comfortable.
Here's a
Yeah,
weird.
that that makes you feel
No,
comfortable.
I just thought about it, and we just talked about objective versus subjective and how these symbols should be seen. But can anybody make themselves look hot if you can just morph your flesh into whatever you want?
Yeah, you could.
Why was it like this one came out good? Look how hot she is. But couldn't anybody look that young, or couldn't anybody? If you can morph your flesh, why can't
Obviously
you just look whatever you
not,
want?
because otherwise they would have.
I don't feel like
He
that.
turned into a hand.
He turned into a hand. He did turn into a hand.
Well,
Did
Kinda
you
feel
see
like
the
you
movie where he
could've-
turned into a hand?
obviously
This is
they
a
obviously
ceremony.
can't. Otherwise they would have.
This is a ceremony.
Let's
so it's
not
a
let's not
special
try to break
occasion.
down the rules of
Yeah.
morphing creatures.
gelatin
Just kinda
bodies
thought about it.
together.
Just something that came to my head.
All right,
Anyways,
let's do it. Let's rate this Mammer Jammer. All right, Krista, what are we rating this
Let's
one?
rate it some butt heads.
All right, we're gonna do butt heads.
buttheads.
Let's start off with Kyle.
I don't know how I'm going to rate this. I think I'll go with maybe 3 on this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a terrible film. It's a really, really visceral in terms of visual in the last half of the film. I like that I like that the director attempted to get some of that paranoia and stuff going, like very a la Rosemary's Baby. It didn't play out as much, or maybe it was too much for it to be believable, or to Mike's point, maybe there wasn't enough at stake for you to really be totally concerned about the paranoia. But yeah, overall I thought it was an enjoyable film. It's certainly entertaining just to sit through. It's worth it to sit through it for the last 30 minutes, because you definitely see some of the best creature designs that I've seen so far. But yeah, 3, sure. I
3?
bought this movie. I paid $30 for it.
Maybe for Kyle.
I'll watch it again.
You can sell that used copy to me.
You already asked once. The answer's still no.
I'll go next. I am going to give this movie. I'll give it also a 3. I'm gonna stick with that. You got to see this movie. It's weird to say. Like I don't love this movie, but I want to own this movie, and I feel like it's one that if you're a fan of cult films, is kind of one that you need to see in a way. I don't know how else to explain it. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but also the last 30 minutes, if people are like squeamish at all and they're over at your house, you can just throw it on and be like, watch this, dude. And just watch them watch it. Like, yeah, I can get enjoyment out of that. It's just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. So, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I gotta watch it again. 3.
You can watch it on Blu-ray next time.
Without Spanish subtitles. Although that might be an option still.
I was learning the whole time. Mike?
I am also going to give this 3 buttheads. It's not a mindless film. He definitely
Not
had
at all.
a direction. He definitely was trying to do something with it. Whether I feel like he accomplished it or not, I'm going to have to give it a no. And I probably would have given this 2 buttheads, but like you guys said, like that last half hour, I mean, it is something to see. And I think that that alone earns it at least another rating. So, yeah, 3 for me.
All right. Last but not least, Chris.
Okay, first time seeing Society, and it's been on my list for a while, like I said, and I gotta say, like, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I was okay with the fact that some of the acting maybe wasn't that great, but every character held my interest, and I was always wondering where it was going to go next. And I knew that there was going to be a big payoff. I felt like the film actually sets you up for that in a way. But when it happens, it goes so far that, it's just it's a spectacle, kind of. It's like something you've never seen before, and I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna go 4 buttheads. I like the feeling of this film. Like I said, I loved the cover art, and I think you're right. The director did have something to say, and maybe it wasn't 100% fleshed out, but it got pretty close.
Is that a pun?
I was hoping somebody would think it was,
Fleshed
but but yeah, so 4, and I would buy this movie.
Yeah, I would say that the last 30 minutes of this film are ugly hot.
So ugly hot.
Yeah.
So definitely ugly hot.
It's like you want to get a boner, but you can't seem to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the rating that we should have gave.
Ugly boners.
Ugly
hot.
Halfway boners.
Half chub.
Yeah, half chub.
Like it's supposed to be sexy, and they try to play that off, but you're just so disgusted by all of the slime and grease that's happening.
Exactly. All right, guys, that's our show for this week. Make sure you follow us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at cultfilm_review. You can also follow us there on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow Mike
at Mike Salustio on Twitter. And just search me. I write about stuff from here to there.
You sound like Eeyore just now.
Hey, everybody. At Mike Salustio.
You can follow Chris at.
You can follow me at cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
What's the movie?
Do I have to do that every time now?
It's like your thing.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't want to. You just called him out.
Yeah. It's like his thing now. He doesn't want a thing? You don't want a thing?
No.
You don't have to have a thing.
He can
Fuck
have
it.
he can
No,
have
fuck it.
he can have a thing, but
It's done.
The thing could happen every once in a while. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing.
It's done. It's over. You lost your thing, Kyle.
See you later.
People can follow you at.
What? Oh, you're gonna give me a shitty intro? I'm waiting for my good intro. Fuck you.
You can follow Kyle at.
You can follow me on cultfilm_Kyle on Instagram and Twitter.
All right, guys, that's our show for this week. Make sure that you rate us 5 stars and you subscribe. And just remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next week.